Rutgerus Johannes Martinus, Ruud van Nistelrooy, born the 1st of July 1976, is a retired Dutch footballer and a current assistant manager for the Netherlands national team. A former striker, he is the fourth highest goalscorer in UEFA Champions League history with 56 goals. He is a three-time Champions League top scorer, as well as a top scorer in 3 different European domestic leagues. Van Nistelrooy began his career with Den Bosch, before moving on to Heerenveen, eventually making a name for himself at PSV, where he won 2 Eredivisie titles. His goal-scoring record at PSV attracted attention from Manchester United. A deal was in place in the summer of 2000, but because of injury problems, his move was secured a year later for a then British record fee of £19 million. His time at United was successful, winning the Premier League, FA Cup, Football League Cup and FA Community Shield, along with winning the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year twice. Van Nistelrooy hit 150 goals in just 219 games for United, as well as being their all-time European record goal scorer, but fell out of favour towards the end of his tenure. Real Madrid then secured his services in 2006. Although an injury blighted the end of his days with Madrid, he did win La Liga twice and the Supercopa de España before signing for Hamburger SV during the January transfer window in 2010. After 1.5 seasons with Hamburg, he moved back to Spain with Malaga in the summer of 2011. His retirement from football was announced on the 14th of May 2012. Club career. Early career. Born in Oost, North Brabant, Van Nistelrooy started his professional career in 1993 with Dutch second division side Den Bosch, where he was converted from a central midfielder to centre-forward after playing part-time for Noah Gedacht and Margriet. After netting 12 goals in 31 games in the 1996-97 campaign, he transferred for €360,000 to Heerenveen the next year, and scored 13 goals in 31 matches in his only season with the club. He was then signed by PSV the next season for €6.3 million, a then record transfer sum between 2 Dutch teams. He scored 31 goals in 34 matches, the highest season total in the Eredivisie and second highest in Europe overall. In addition to scoring all 3 of PSV's goals in a Champions League match against HJK Helsinki on the 25th of November 1998, Van Nistelrooy capped off the year by winning the Dutch Player of the Year award. The following season, he won his second Eredivisie scoring title with 29 goals. According to a 2001 interview with The Telegraph, Manchester United coach Sir Alex Ferguson said that his son Darren, who was at tryouts for Eredivisie rival Heerenveen at the time, begged his father, "You've got to sign Van Nistelrooy right away. He's fantastic. We've been watching him." Ferguson sent team representatives to PSV's next league game and signed Van Nistelrooy the next day. Manchester United. Van Nistelrooy looked set to complete a club record £18.5 million transfer to Manchester United in the summer of 2000. He was to be unveiled at a press conference 4 days later, but this was instead used to announce that the transfer had been postponed over concerns about his fitness, having not played for a month due to problems with his knee. The transfer was then cancelled after PSV refused to agree to further medical tests, and the next day he suffered a rupture to his anterior cruciate knee ligaments during a training session, leaving him injured for a year. A year later, Van Nistelrooy signed a 5-year contract after passing his medical. He downplayed United's £19 million investment to reporters, saying, The price is not heavy for me, it lifts me up because it means United have big confidence in me. Van Nistelrooy made his debut in the Charity Shield against Liverpool, scoring in a 2-1 loss. On the 19th of August, Van Nistelrooy made his Premier League debut against Fulham at Old Trafford, and scored 2 goals to help United to a 3-2 win. He scored his first Champions League goals on the 17th of October in a 3-2 loss to Deportivo de La Coruña. On the 22nd of December, Van Nistelrooy scored his first Premier League hat-trick in a 6-1 win against Southampton. In the FA Cup, Van Nistelrooy started on the bench from the third-round tie against Aston Villa due to a groin strain, but was substituted on for Luke Chadwick in the second half with United 2-0 down, and scored 2 sublime goals in 3 minutes to help United advance to the fourth round with a 3-2 win. In total during his first season, Van Nistelrooy scored 23 goals in 32 league games. He broke the record he shared with Mark Stein, Alan Shearer and Thierry Henry by scoring in 8 consecutive league games. He also scored 10 Champions League goals, and was named the PFA Players' Player of the Year. The following season, he finished as the top Premier League scorer with 25 goals in 34 games, with a goal on the final day against Everton earning him the Golden Boot ahead of Arsenal's Thierry Henry. His tally included 3 hat-tricks against Newcastle United, Fulham, and Charlton Athletic. He also scored in each of the final 8 games of the season as United won the title. Van Nistelrooy won the Premier League Player of the Season in 2003. He was accredited with spearheading the title win for United with a goal tally that was described as astonishing. After scoring 12 Champions League goals, he was named by UEFA as the best striker in Europe. 2003-04 Van Nistelrooy started the 2003-04 season by scoring twice in his first 2 league matches. This meant he had scored in 10 consecutive league games, then a Premier League record, which stood until 2015 when Jamie Vardy scored in 11 consecutive matches. In the 0-0 draw on the 21st of September 2003, later dubbed the Battle of Old Trafford, Van Nistelrooy was at the centre of one of the most infamous incidents of the Arsenal-Manchester United rivalry. After missing a last-minute penalty that would have won the game for United, Van Nistelrooy was attacked by Martin Keown, prompting a melee involving several players from both sides. 5 Arsenal players including Keown received various bans and fines, while the club itself received a record fine of £175,000. Earlier in the game, he had been fouled by Patrick Vieira, who was sent off for a second bookable offence. Vieira and his manager Arsene Wenger both accused Van Nistelrooy of cheating and stamping on Vieira, prompting a vociferous defence by Alex Ferguson. On the 27th of September, he scored a hat-trick against Leicester City in a 4-1 victory. He scored his 100th goal for the club in a dramatic 4-3 victory over Everton on the 7th of February 2004. In the FA Cup 5th round derby against Manchester City, Van Nistelrooy scored twice to help Man United win 4-2, and scored twice in the quarter-final against Fulham as United came from behind to win 2-1. He scored a further 2 goals, including 1 penalty, in United's victory over Millwall in the 2004 FA Cup final. Van Nistelrooy missed a large part of the 2004-05 season due to injury, but nonetheless scored a Champions League best 8 goals. One of them was his 30th career European goal, which he scored in a 2-2 Champions League group stage draw with Lyon on the 16th of September 2004, overtaking Denis Law's previous club record of 28 goals. Law later said to reporters, "I'm delighted for Ruud. It could not happen to a nicer guy." On the 24th of October, Arsenal returned to Old Trafford for another dramatic fixture. Arsenal entered the fixture with 49-game unbeaten run and had been dubbed the Invincibles, but United won the game 2-0. Van Nistelrooy scored the opening goal from the penalty spot, atoning for the penalty missed the previous year, with Wayne Rooney scoring a second. Van Nistelrooy was later banned for 3 games for a foul on Ashley Cole that the referee had missed. On the 3rd of November, Van Nistelrooy scored all 4 goals in a 4-1 win against Sparta Prague. On the 17th of April 2005, he scored 2 goals in the FA Cup semi-final in a 4-1 win against Newcastle, but United lost the final on penalties to Arsenal. 2005-06 At the start of the 2005-06 season, Van Nistelrooy scored in United's first 4 Premier League games. He finished as the second highest league scorer with 21 goals, behind Arsenal's Thierry Henry. However, he was benched for the League Cup final against Wigan Athletic, fueling speculation of a rift between him and Alex Ferguson, which Van Nistelrooy denied. He was nonetheless left on the bench for 6 consecutive league matches, and though he then returned to the starting lineup and scored match winners against West Ham United and Bolton Wanderers, fresh doubts spread over Van Nistelrooy's future when he was benched for United's season finale win over Charlton Athletic. Ferguson claimed that Van Nistelrooy was angry at the decision and left the stadium 3 hours before kick-off. On the 9th of May 2006, it was reported that Van Nistelrooy's exclusion from the squad was due to a training session fight between him and teammate Cristiano Ronaldo. Van Nistelrooy allegedly criticized Ronaldo's tendency to hold onto the ball instead of passing to his teammates, which sparked the fight, after which Van Nistelrooy remarked, "Go crying to your daddy," which was in reference to United's then Portuguese assistant manager, Carlos Queiroz. Ronaldo, however, took the statement literally and allegedly broke into tears since his father Jose had died 8 months previously. Van Nistelrooy later apologized to Ferguson for his behavior in the previous few months. Van Nistelrooy signed with Spanish La Liga side Real Madrid on the 28th of July, departing Old Trafford after 5 seasons with a total of 150 goals in 219 appearances, with his final goal coming on the 1st of April against Bolton, scoring what proved to be the winning goal. With 38 goals, he is also the club's all-time European top goal scorer. Real Madrid on the 15th of July 2006. Ferguson confirmed that Van Nistelrooy wanted to leave Manchester United, and Real Madrid announced 2 weeks later that he had signed a 3-year contract after being purchased for €14 million. Van Nistelrooy made his debut for the Spanish club in a 1-0 friendly win over Regina on the 4th of August 2006. Van Nistelrooy scored a hat-trick in his second league match against Levante, and, on the 12th of November 2006, he scored all 4 of Real Madrid's goals in a 4-1 victory over Osasuna. He won the league's Pichichi Award with 25 goals as Real Madrid took home the 2006-07 title, and he also equaled the longest consecutive scoring streak in La Liga history with 7 straight matches, tying a league record shared by Hugo Sanchez. In January 2008, Van Nistelrooy signed a contract extension keeping him with Madrid until 2010, with the expiration date 1 day shy of his 34th birthday. He underwent ankle surgery in March, and returned for the El Clasico derby against Barcelona on the 7th of May, in which he netted a penalty 2 minutes after coming on as a substitute. He finished the season with 20 goals in 33 appearances. In November 2008, Real Madrid announced that Van Nistelrooy would miss the remainder of the 2008-09 season after exploratory arthroscopic surgery revealed a partially torn meniscus in his right knee, with an expected recovery time of 6 to 9 months following a second operation to repair the damage. Van Nistelrooy traveled to the United States to see specialist Richard Stedman, who had previously operated on the same knee back in 2000. At the time of his injury, he had 10 goals in 12 club appearances for the season. Following the injury, he was deregistered by Real Madrid for the rest of the 2008-09 season, and his shirt number was given to Dani Parejo. On the 24th of August 2009, in the last pre-season match before the start of La Liga, Van Nistelrooy stepped on the pitch for the first time since his injury and played the last 15 minutes of the game against Rosenborg, substituting Kaká. Van Nistelrooy came on for Cristiano Ronaldo in the 80th minute against Xerez in his first La Liga match since recovering from his injury. In the 81st minute, he provided the assist for a Karim Benzema goal, following it with his own 88th minute goal. During his strike, however, he picked up a thigh injury, where it was later revealed by Real Madrid that he would be out from first-team action for up to 6 weeks. On the 27th of October, Van Nistelrooy made his second comeback of the season, coming on as a substitute for Raul in the 71st minute against Alcorcon in the Copa del Rey. Hamburger SV. On the 23rd of January 2010, Van Nistelrooy signed an 18-month contract with the German club Hamburger SV until June 2011. He made his first appearance for the club after coming off the bench in the last 2 minutes of Hamburg's 3-3 draw with 1. FC Köln on the 6th of February. Van Nistelrooy scored his first 2 goals for Hamburg on the 13th of February 2010 against VfB Stuttgart in the 75th and 77th minutes of a 3-1 win, after entering the game just a few minutes prior. On the 11th of March 2010, he scored his first UEFA Europa League goal in the 40th minute of Hamburg's match against Anderlecht. On the 15th of August 2010, Van Nistelrooy scored his only competitive hat-trick with Hamburg, in a 5-1 win over Torgelower SV Grief in the first round of the 2010-11 DFB Pokal. On the 21st of August 2010, he scored the brace in Hamburg's season opener against Schalke 04, which HSV won 2-1. During that match, he played against his friend and former Real Madrid teammate Raul, who was making his Bundesliga debut. In the January transfer window, Van Nistelrooy was linked to return move back to Real Madrid and could be used for a short-term basis to cover following injuries of Gonzalo Higuain and Karim Benzema, as manager Jose Mourinho would be happy for Van Nistelrooy to join the club as Mourinho left the door for him. Van Nistelrooy admitted he seriously considered moving back to the club if the bid happened. The club, however, rejected Madrid's bid for Van Nistelrooy, giving the club a warning as Hamburg wants to keep hold of him until the transfer window ended. Despite being angered over his move to Real Madrid rejected, Van Nistelrooy said he would remain committed at Hamburg. During a match between Hamburg and Hannover 96 on the 16th of April 2011, Van Nistelrooy suffered a calf injury that kept him out until the last match day. Van Nistelrooy scored 7 goals and made 2 assists in 25 appearances in his only full season with Hamburg. Malaga. On the 1st of June 2011, Van Nistelrooy arrived at Malaga to sign a 1-year contract with the La Liga club on a free transfer. After joining the club. Van Nistelrooy was presented at La Rosaleda Stadium as he was welcomed by 15,000 Malaga fans. Van Nistelrooy made his debut in a 2-1 loss against Sevilla on the opening game of the 2011-12 season. On the 1st of October 2011, while playing against Getafe, Van Nistelrooy scored his first goal for Malaga. On the 21st of December, against the same club, he opened the scoring with a volley as Malaga won 3-2 on aggregate in the Copa del Rey. Later on in the season, Van Nistelrooy scored 2 more goals in the league against Espanyol and Racing de Santander, which was the last goal of his career. Just one day before his retirement, Van Nistelrooy made his last appearance of his career, coming on as a substitute in the 75th minute for goalscorer Salomon Rondon, who scored the only goal in the game against Sporting de Gijón. On the 14th of May 2012, Van Nistelrooy announced his retirement from football at the age of 35. He told Sport 1 he previously made hints that his football career was coming to an end after insisting Malaga would be his last club. International career. Van Nistelrooy earned 70 caps and scored 35 goals for the Netherlands. He made his debut for the national team in a friendly match against Germany on the 18th of November 1998. However, the cruciate ligament injury which postponed his transfer to Manchester United also ruled Van Nistelrooy out of UEFA Euro 2000. As the Dutch failed to qualify for the 2002 FIFA World Cup, Van Nistelrooy did not make his tournament debut for the Netherlands until Euro 2004, where he and the Czech Republic's Milan Baroš were the only players to score in all 3 group stage matches. The Netherlands reached the semi-finals, where they were defeated by hosts Portugal 2-1. The Van Nistelrooy was named to the tournament All-Star team. During a 2006 World Cup qualifying match, he scored in the Dutch's 4-0 win over bottom-placed Andorra and was yellow-carded for going to Andorra player Anthony Lima and celebrating in front of him, following an incident 6 minutes before when Van Nistelrooy missed a penalty and Lima laughed at him. He was a part of coach Marco van Basten's squad for the 2006 World Cup finals, for which he served as the official FIFA SOS ambassador. He started and was substituted in all of the Netherlands group stage matches, and scored his lone goal against the Ivory Coast. The Van Nistelrooy was dropped to the bench by Van Basten without an explanation for the Netherlands' second-round match, which saw them again eliminated by Portugal. Van Basten left the striker out of the squad for a friendly against the Republic of Ireland on the 16th of August 2006. De Kuyt replaced Van Nistelrooy in the next match against Portugal in September, after Klaas-Jan Huntelaar was unavailable for Euro 2008 qualifiers against Bulgaria and Belarus due to injury. The Van Nistelrooy refused Van Basten's request to take his place on the roster. On the 23rd of January 2007, Van Nistelrooy announced his retirement from international football following continued disputes with Van Basten, which had started back in 2006 during the course of the World Cup finals matches. After several phone conversations and at the persuasion of veteran goalkeeper Edwin van der Sar, however, both player and coach put aside their differences. Van Basten announced 4 months later that Van Nistelrooy was returning to the Oranje. On the 8th of September, Van Nistelrooy filled Huntelaar's spot as previously requested for the qualifier against Bulgaria, scoring in a 2-0 victory, and scored the winning goal 4 days later in injury time of the Netherlands win over Albania. At Euro 2008, Van Nistelrooy scored for the Netherlands in the decisive 3-0 victory over Italy in the group stage, and scored the equalizer in in their eventual 3-1 loss to Russia in the quarter-finals. On the 4th of August, he again announced his retirement from international competition. During the build-up to the 2010 World Cup, Van Nistelrooy again made himself available, but was left out by the Netherlands' new coach Bert van Marwijk. After being left out for the World Cup, Van Nistelrooy said he had no choice but to face the fact that his international career is finished. After main striker Robin van Persie suffered an injury during a match with his club Arsenal, the Van Marwijk gave Van Nistelrooy a chance to reclaim his position as the main striker of the Netherlands national team. The Van Nistelrooy was invited to 2 Netherlands Group E qualification matches for Euro 2012 against San Marino and Finland. He scored in the 5-0 victory against San Marino on the 3rd of September 2010. He was again recalled to the squad in March 2011 for 2 Euro 2012 qualification games with Hungary, after injuries to strikers Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, Arjen Robben and Theo Jansen. In the away game on the 25th of March, he appeared as a late substitute for Dirk Kuyt, while in the return game in Amsterdam 4 days later, he came off the bench to score his 35th international goal, adding, "It is wonderful to be able to add something to this Oranje team," as he told Baron Scholten. Coaching career. PSV. In June 2013, Van Nistelrooy joined PSV as a coaching intern working with the under-17s Netherlands. In March 2014, it was announced that Van Nistelrooy would be assisting Guus Hiddink after the 2014 World Cup. Outside football. Personal life. The Van Nistelrooy married his girlfriend, Leontien Sleats, in July 2004. The couple had the first child, a girl named Moa Annette, in September 2006, and a son named Liam in March 2008. The Van Nistelrooy was brought up as a Roman Catholic. Charity. Van Nistelrooy and his wife are both heavily involved with the charity organization SOS Children's Villages. The organization has been around since 1949 and is an international development charity which serves to protect the interests and rights of children. The Van Nistelrooy was officially appointed FIFA for SOS Children's Villages ambassador in the Netherlands on the 1st of September 2001. On the 17th of November 2009, Van Nistelrooy and his wife hosted SOS at Ciudad Real Madrid. The purpose of the event was to help create a calendar which would be sold to benefit the organization. Endorsements. Van Nistelrooy was sponsored by sportswear company Nike and appeared in Nike commercials, in a global Nike advertising campaign in the run-up to the 2002 World Cup in Korea and Japan. He starred in a Secret Tournament commercial directed by Terry Gilliam, appearing alongside football players such as Thierry Henry, Ronaldo, Edgar Davids, Fabio Cannavaro, Francesco Totti, Ronaldinho, Luis Figo and Hidetoshi Nakata, with former player Eric Cantona the tournament referee. Media career. During the 2014 World Cup, Van Nistelrooy worked as a studio analyst for ESPN. Career statistics. Club international honors. Club PSV Eredivisie 1999 2000 2001. Johan Cruyff Shield 1998 2000. Manchester United Premier League 2002-03. FA Cup 2003-04. Football League Cup 2005-06. FA Community Shield 2003. Real Madrid La Liga 2006-07, 2007-08. Supercopa de España 2008. Individual Eredivisie top scorer 1998-99, 1999 2000. Dutch Footballer of the Year 1999, 2000. Premier League Player of the Month, December 2001, February 2002, April 2003, UEFA Champions League Top Scorer, 2001-02, 2002-03, 2004-05. UEFA Champions League Top Assists, 2001-02. Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year, 2001-02, 2002-03. ESM Team of the Year, 2001-02. IFFHS World's Top Goalscorer of the Year, 2002. PFA Fans Player of the Year, 2002. PFA Players Player of the Year, 2001-02. PFA Team of the Year, 2001-02, 2003-04. Premier League Goal of the Month, March 2003. Premier League Player of the Season, 2002-03. Premier League Golden Boot, 2002-03. 2004 FA Cup Final Man of the Match. UEFA Club Forward of the Year, 2002-03. UEFA Team of the Year, 2003. FIFA 100. UEFA Euro Team of the Tournament, 2004. Pichichi Trophy, 2006-07.